Yep. Agreed.
All right. So listen, before we get into the next position, which is tight ends, I want to talk about a new partner that I'm particularly excited about, and that is Buzzin'. Buzzin'. This is going to be a THC-infused seltzer. Summer's heating up, and South Florida is buzzing. Each can delivers 7.5 milligrams of real THC wrapped in bubbles, crafted with real fruit juice and zero artificial sweeteners. Bold in flavor, low in calories. My favorite part, 100% hangover-free, perfect for poolside sips. Just beach day chilling, hanging out. If you're up north, maybe a bonfire. If you're down here, you got enough fire from the sun. You want to cool off with something cold like this. You got watermelon, cherry, strawberry, all refreshing. Some summer flavors, raspberry, lemonade, peach. Catch a buzz with Buzzin'. Got available in multiple retailers as well. Most famously, probably Big Daddy's right next to Flanagan's, which is going to be carrying those in all stores. If you can't get there, go to drinkbuzzin.com. That is drinkbuzzin, Buzzin with the Buzzn, Buzzn. Brighten the vibe. You see it right here. Those of you who maybe are cutting back on your alcohol or quitting alcohol, so which I can relate to. You still want to catch a buzz there by the pool, have something cold to drink, and that's where Buzzin fills the void. So I'm again jacked up for this partner. They haven't sent me my cans yet. It's in the mail. I can't wait. I'll be drinking those on the show. Probably too much. If you see me really excited about the DBs or whoever we talk about next, Buzzin will be the reason. But yeah, man, shout out to Buzzin. They're doing a great job in person at Big Daddy's next to Flanagan's and other different retailers, and then online, drinkbuzzin, Buzzn.com. So yeah, man, let's go. What's people are saying? You said THC. I did. THC. They got it. They got it in stores. They got it right there in like you go to Flanagan's, which I know P, you frequent Flanagan's quite a bit. They got the Buzzin right.
Every once in a while, I'm more of a Duffy's guy, but
yeah, that's right. That's true. That's true. We need
way more of a Duffy's guy.
We need to get these in Duffy's. But you can get your liquor at Big Daddy's right next door and get one of those. So CBD saying, I want to see D shotgun one of those. No problem. You'll see me shotgun one of those for sure. Especially if we win some games. But yeah, man, there it is. Kendrick, we're definitely going to be buzzing. Let's go. So anyways, man.
I was going to say, we got our boy Ant, who's a Notre Dame fan in here, has been he's been great with us the last couple of weeks. He's saying that it's sounding more and more like Kenny Minchie is going to be the guy.
Yeah, man. So I'm excited to see what happens there. I think Minchie would probably be the smart bet based on everything you're hearing. I'm not there, so it's hard to say. But I think, look, he looks good. He's got strong arms, strong body. Seems like a good decision maker. He can run. So, and not a runner, but he can run. I think you'll simplify the offense for him. But yeah, listen, anyone playing behind that good offensive line is going to do some work. So you got to have respect for what they're going to do. I mean, we've seen young guys kill us before. So I think a guy that can run a little, even though he's not a running quarterback, will be tougher to defend. At least, again, for a young quarterback. If you have a veteran pocket passer, those guys can kill you. But if you have a young quarterback, if I'm the team that's playing a young quarterback, I'd rather have a young quarterback that can run than a young quarterback that only can pass. Because then, there's more things you can do to protect a young quarterback that can run because you just get easy plays for him with his legs. So Brandon's saying, Buzzin' going to be at the tailgate? Yeah, they will be, and we'll be talking about that soon, what we got cooking there as far as the pregame. That should be next week. Johnny Lagoon says, I'll definitely bring those to the tailgate. They're Big Daddies, man. You know where to go. Sports Buzzin' at the tailgate. That's how we're doing it, man. Fired up. Thunder, best morning show, Miami. Appreciate you. Oh, so Savion Hyder, the number one running back, just committed to Michigan. That guy's a beast, man. He's better than he's the best running back to come out. What was the last really dynamic running back we had come into the draft? I mean, Ashton Jeanty obviously ended up being that, but trying to think out of high school, like the less highly rated guy.
I mean, how Saquon was not the number one.
No,
running back.
It would have been. It's a good question. I have to go back and look at who the top guys were, but this guy Hyder is.
I mean, Trent Richardson, even though he ended up being a bust, was a huge recruit.
Oh yeah, that's going back a ways.
That's a while. Yeah. That's a while. Yeah.
But yeah, it's this
Fournette, Gerald Young. Yeah, he says Fournette. He was. He was that guy.
I'm curious, and I'm hijacking the show. I know we need to talk about the tight ends, but this question was very interesting to me. or this comment was very interesting. So yeah, Savion Hyder this year just committed to Michigan, looks like a complete monster. Last year was that guy Barry, who's Harlem Barry, going to LSU. He's not that good. I mean, he's good, but he's not like a big. We'll see. He could be like Reggie Bush Part 2, but he's not like a huge, monster that right away is good, like an Adrian Peterson. Taylor Tatum was the number 1 running back in 2024 for Oklahoma. I don't believe I've ever even seen him play. That was a weak year running back. Nate Frazier, number 2. He's played a little bit for Georgia. And this last one I do, Pete, I'll promise. 2023, the number 1 running back, CJ Baxter, who hasn't done anything. Jeremiah Love, number 5. Mark Fletcher, number 8. It's funny. Look at this list, Pete. CJ Baxter, number 1, who's had injuries. He could be a very good one. Ruben Owens, number 2, hasn't done anything. Justice Haynes just transferred to Michigan. He's okay. Richard Young, we'll see if he does anything this year for Alabama. Jeremiah Love, obviously the top guy from Notre Dame. Dante Dowdle from Oregon, haven't heard of him. Kendrick Riscano for Ole Miss, never heard of him. Mark Fletcher, number 8. So if you look at those guys, the 2 best ones, I would say to this point have been the 2 guys we're going to see on August 31st. Right? I mean, Jeremiah Love and Mark Fletcher. So yeah, man, we'll see about that. Anyways, just had a trip down memory lane before we got to the tight ends, but I wanted to get into that. So tight end wise, Pete, we'll start with Elijah Loftton. Even though I really don't think he is what you would call a true tight end, he is somebody that, to me, in my heart, I think when it's all said and done, he is going to be a running back at some point in some level. Not going to be like a Saquon Barkley or Jahmyr Gibbs type running back, but a big back that can run, that can pass block, that can lead block as a fullback for another more dynamic back, and a guy that can run routes and catch. But technically kind of as a tight end, but you're going to get the ball in his hands many different ways. Throw him short passes. He can go down the seam as well. He can run routes. He is very, very versatile, as we know. But I think more than anything, this guy's a big game player. You saw him in that Cal game during that comeback. He made that incredible catch, getting smoked and holding on to it. Saw him in high school, Central, Chaminade, just destroying those teams. He's one of those guys that I think lights are on. You want to get the ball in his hands.
Yeah, and I think, people have to kind of recalibrate what they're looking at, because it's not going to look the same as Elijah Arroyo at 6'4", 250 plus, running the way that he was running vertically down the field. You said it best. I think you get him the ball, these little dump downs, 3, 4, 5 yard passes out in the flat in the middle of the field, and let him go run after the catch with it, right? Because you have, I think, Bauman as big as he is, Luca Gilbert as big as he is, although these guys aren't burners, they give you a different physical presence in terms of their height, up the middle of the field vertically. And Loftton, we saw him do it last year for Miami. I'm not saying he can't do it. I just think I want to get him the ball and let him be the bowling ball that he is, right? Now, is that handing him the ball in the backfield? Is that, like I said, dump downs in the flat? Is that screen plays, getting him the ball creatively out wide, putting him in the slot? All of these sort of things, I think that's the sort of role you're looking at with him. People always talk about tight end, and it's not going to look the same as a normal tight end. He's built more like a fullback, as we've talked about. So it's not going to be the same role that you saw from an Elijah Arroyo. And I don't think Bauman's going to have that same role that Arroyo had either. It's going to look completely different. But that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think you have. Sorry, I don't think you can have anybody in the Arroyo style on this team that's a 6'4", 250 guy that runs 4 or 5. I just don't think that there's a player like that either on the starting lineup or a young player that could become that. He's just very unique in his physical tools. That's why, in my opinion, he was the best tight end last year. You heard Seattle basically say if he didn't get hurt, they had him as a top 15 type talent. So, I think you're not going to replace that, but Lofton's his own different kind of guy who I think can make up a lot of that production to be very valuable for you. Bauman from Monmouth County, shout out to Philip Russomano in the chat. Big body, bigger than I thought. I think he's gained like 15 pounds since he got to Miami. So he actually looks bigger at Miami than he did at Tulane. Really good red zone threat at Tulane, more of a run-based offense there, but they still threw it to him in the red zone. Basketball player in high school, also played defense up in New Jersey, played offense. Smooth athlete, can catch the ball. is he like a first day one, day two NFL tight end? That remains to be seen. I don't know if he has that kind of juice, but he's somebody that can play at this level and help you. And I think he could be someone against Notre Dame that you see him get involved because physically, mentally, he's ready to play in that type of game. Again, the thing that jumped out to me just seeing him, just bigger than I thought with size.
And gives you more of a blocking aspect than people realize. Because when he's committed, everything I heard was this is a guy who converts in the red zone. He had 7 touchdowns, more of a receiving type. But the more I've heard about him, D, they feel very comfortable about his physicality. Like you mentioned, his size. He's put on, 15, 20 pounds or so. And to me, he's someone that I'm saying it right now. I think he's going to score against Notre Dame, and I think he's going to score a lot of touchdowns this year for Miami.
Yeah, I mean he's a red zone threat. Just look at his stats.
He might be the leading touchdown receiver for this team. I don't think that's that bold of a statement to say.
No, I mean, you look at his history, right? So his freshman year, he has 1 touchdown. It was a game-winning touchdown in the Cotton Bowl against USC, biggest win in Tulane history. So that was as a freshman. Then last year, 5 touchdowns for Tulane. Sorry, 2 years ago, 5 touchdowns.
2 years ago, and then last year,
7 touchdowns. So 13 touchdowns in 3 years.
Yeah, and 12 and really in 2 years, as it was limited action as a freshman. So, yeah, I mean, look, bagging up saying he doesn't think he's going to be a dynamic threat. I don't necessarily disagree with you. I don't think this guy's going to be, running by linebackers with ease. But I think if he has a good matchup, you can kind of throw the ball up to him. He can find soft spots in his zone. And again, just such a big target up the middle of the field.
Yeah, he's a receiver. He's a basketball player in high school. I mean, this guy's coordinated. So is he Elijah Arroyo running past guys? No, I don't think that exists in college. I don't think any tight end, quite frankly, in college football is as good as Arroyo this year. In fact, I don't think anybody's really close. I mean, Stowers is pretty good for Vanderbilt. The guy from Ohio State, Max Clares, is good. I don't see anybody of the caliber of Arroyo this year unless someone emerges. So those guys don't come around too often. Multi-Conti saying, no fun name for the video today. Deep and Ready was great. He loves the clickbait, man. You're the
listen, that'll be later today. This is the CanesInSight Daily Show. And then when we cut the videos up, you'll get the fun titles.
So you got to get in the lab, man. You got some fans waiting for some good ones. So the other name I want to highlight at tight end, we'll get through everybody, but the name I really wanted to put a spotlight on, Luca Gilbert, the true freshman out of Cincinnati, Ohio, 6'7", 263 is what he told me he was when I interviewed him for Media Day. Really nice kid. He actually walks up to me and says hi all the time, even though I just interviewed him for 5 minutes. Physically impressive, easy to spot because of his height. Not gangly at all. Usually guys that height kind of look gangly, especially as true freshmen. This is a strong kid, big legs, pretty well developed up top. He'll be at that 265 range fit. If he wanted to get big, he'd be like 275. He's a big guy, but super, super coordinated with his route running. He is a threat to catch the ball, which I think is what people didn't expect when you see his highlights and you see him blocking. This guy can extend outside of his frame at 6'7". So he's not just 6'7" for no reason. He can use that 6'7" and grab the ball, hands catcher, route runner, blocker. This is a really, really good, really complete young tight end. He can extend for the ball. He can make diving catches. I'm very, very impressed with Luca Gilbert, and I would not be shocked if you saw Luca Gilbert play this year early because, again, he is so physically advanced, and he has a well-rounded skill set at a young age. Big Luca Gilbert fan. If you want to put an arrow up next to one of these tight ends, Luca Gilbert, I think that arrow is pointing straight up.
Yeah, I've been a huge fan of his since spring. He was like the first guy one of the first players I mentioned, and then I've continuously talked about him in my post-practice reports. Gerald Young saying, who do you think tight end 3 is? Aren't they all freshmen after the top 2? No, you have Owen Ruskovich also, who's in year 3 at Miami, someone who's worked his way into into the mix here. I think you have a real battle, I think, between Luca Gilbert and Ruskovich for who's going to get the most snaps at tight end 3 right now. But I agree with you, D. My money would be on Luca Gilbert, just because he's shown he's pretty comfortable right now. The physicality has not been a problem for him, and Ruskovich can he had a nice reception. I heard recently, like a 20-yard catch down the field in the practice, the Golden Canes practice on Thursday night. So he's not it's not that he doesn't give you anything out there, but I think Gilbert probably gives you a little bit more in terms of receiving.
Yeah. I think just Gilbert's just got a lot of energy behind him right now. Every practice, he makes big strides. But I put let's talk about Ruskovich just because they're similar players. So we'll talk him back to back. Walk on out of the DC area, earned a scholarship. You would never know he was a walk on if you were out there. He's a big guy. He runs well enough. He catches with his hands. He just doesn't look like a walk on. He's a big specimen there at tight end. Him and Gilbert are similar. Gilbert's probably a little taller and maybe a little more athletic, but not a huge difference in terms of the size. Ruskovich can block. He's an extremely hard worker. He catches with his hands. I would say he's probably a better receiver than McCormick if you're going to compare him to somebody that we saw recently. But he's battling Luca Gilbert, man. So I think both of those guys, you'll see them at certain points during the season. But I would agree that I would have Gilbert over Ruskovich right now. But that's a battle. And then switching gears to Brock Schott, who is a different kind of player than those two. Someone asked who's taller, him or Brock Schott or Loftton. Schott's taller. Schott's probably like 6'2", 6'3". Lofton's probably like 6'1". Interesting guy, really fast, really strong, really physical. I think with him, it's more about learning that just the sophistication of the passing game, right? Because he's from a place where Leo, Indiana, he was getting the ball and he was just burning everybody down the field, plus playing defense. He wasn't out there in like 7-on-7s running routes against South Florida Express and Raw Miami and stuff like that, trying to get open. So I think some of the route running stuff and just the overall receiving polish, he's a little bit behind. Physically, weight room, speed, he's there. Toughness, he's there. So a Schott, I think, special teams, maybe some packaged on offense where he uses his speed down the field because he is the fastest tight end. But really, where I could see him as a freshman is just like an insanely good special teams player with his size and aggression.
Yeah, and I think, getting consistent with his hands, which I think when you're dealing with everything else you're talking about, worrying about the route running stuff and thinking about some of the more nuanced parts of the position that, like you said, in high school, it's either you're going long, you're quick slant, get him the ball, on a quick screen and just get your guy the ball. Here it's, like I said, nuanced, a lot more nuanced. So when you're thinking about all that stuff, your attention may not be, where it needs to be. I'm not saying it's not where it needs to be, but like you have maybe concentration lapses, in terms of drops and stuff like that. So I think once he situates all that, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. But, he's shown some flashes. It sounds different when he's popping those pads, which is why I think that on special teams, without a doubt, he could be a factor this year.
No doubt. So I think that's ever been in the tight end group. I know you have Jack Nickel, Luke Nickel's brother out there, Hunter Carver, Jackson Carver's brother out there competing, doing a good job, working hard. Obviously, Jackson Carver out with an injury, so he's rehabbing, doing his thing. We wish him the best because he's a very talented guy. But that's basically the tight end group. I like the group. I like the way they carry themselves. I don't think there's an Arroyo in there, but I think there's different kinds of body types that can help you win, with Loftton being really a unique player, sort of that, in my view, just like elite super fullback that is unlike any other fullback in the country. That's kind of how I see him in his ultimate final form. But we'll see how this group goes. The name I'd keep an eye on, though, in the short term, Luca Gilbert.
Gerald Young says, sounds like Schott should redshirt this year. Sounds like a similar player to Loftton. I'm not really for redshirting guys. I think you let him play every game on special teams at the very least, and you work him into some other packages within the course of the season, within the flow of the offense. It just redshirting with a guy who's physically ready doesn't make very much sense to me. There's some stuff that he will continue to progress on, but you're not really holding that year of eligibility for anything. He'll just he'll transfer, or he'll end up being good and then leave after 4 years anyways. So I that's my thought on it, D.
Yeah, Schott and Loftton. I mean, there's some similarities in terms of strong weight room guys, not the tallest tight ends, guys that can also play fullback, H-back. Schott actually got some carries in high school too. I don't know if he can run as good as Loftton, but both physical guys. You could put both of them on defense and they'd be elite. I mean, Loftton would be an elite linebacker according to Cristobal and Dawson. Everybody kind of thinks he would be. Schott was a really good defensive player in high school. Some schools recruited him. Notre Dame, for example, recruited him on defense. So I do see similarities there. If I were to say differences, Loftton was at Bishop Gorman, so he just had more of an advanced like level of competition, like level of skill set, just from being against good competition, knowing how to get open against guys like that. Whereas with Schott, less competition. So I think he's having more of that adjustment. I'd say Lofton's probably more fluid, better runner as far as like with the ball because of his side to side. He's just more like a loose athlete, whereas Schott's more straight line, but Schott's also faster. He has more speed. So there's some similarities, but also some differences. I think their toughness is very similar. And with Schott, I'd love to see on that opening kickoff him just knock someone's head off. He'd be the guy. He'd be one of those guys I want out there.
Yep. So time to flip over to the other side of the ball.